This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Newspapers are a means through which information is conveyed to the reader. However, there are different facets that are involved in conveying messages to the reader. The Washington Post is an example of a newspaper that will be used in this context for analysis with regard to Philadelphia escalated its conflict with an anarchist group. The topic can make one believe that there is a particular group trying to overthrow the government in place, but this is not the case. This is a newspaper analysis of class differences, which apparently has been painted a different picture by the newspaper headlines. The photograph depicts two different racial groups, the blacks and the whites. This is an implication that there exist two different types of classes. A photograph is an object that has been chosen, composed, structured, worked on, and treated based on professional, ideological, and aesthetic norms, which are various factors of connotation. The two racial groups are a representation of the different classes that exist in Philadelphia. Price has shown how the two groups suggest two types of classes, the wealthy and superior versus the poor and suppressed. This is illustrated by the white man, who is neatly dressed and represents formality and authority, while the three other men are a symbol of informality and submission. Classism is also endorsed by the fact that the two groups bring out unequal representation. The three black men, as opposed to one white man, tell it all about the inequality and injustice that prevails. The two groups are paradigms of Philadelphia's different cultural affiliations and social classes. Cultural differences should not be used to point out a certain group of people as an anarchist, as reported in the article. Unfortunately, this is the case in Philadelphia, as the poor are seen as white trash. As Carter declared in his semiotic analysis of newspaper front-page photographs, the photograph is used to portray a certain kind of attitude. Both groups connote a lack of sentimentality. This can be attributed to the fact that there is some kind of resentment towards each other due to the differences in social class, not forgetting the conflicts involved. The white man in the photograph is Move's lawyer, a responsibility he has assumed out of obligation. He does not care about black people, who, in this case, are the suppressed minority characterized by poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. The white lawyer is, therefore, representing the group due to the returns associated with this position and not because he cares for the black people, the poor. Robert Guzzardi has also been referred to as Move's lawyer, but his talk, as indicated in the article, does not correspond to this role. According to the headlines, one expects to find an incomparable level of conflict between Philadelphia State and the Move Group. Apparently, this is not the case, and the setting up of the blockade is not called for. The demeanor of the Move is one that is connoted by poverty, ignorance, and illiteracy, away from the upheld perception that they rebel against the authority set in place. The cause of conflict, as implied in the article, can be solved through a consensus after concluding, as implied by the photograph, despite not being the case. The article's central theme, as observed from the headlines, is an escalated dispute between the state of Philadelphia and the supposed anarchist group going by the name Move. Typographic coding has been used to grasp the attention of the reader. In emphasizing the conflict between the Philadelphia State and the Move, the article has used capital letters while referring to these two groups. On the contrary, a detailed examination of the newspaper's contents indicates that the Move group is not an anarchist as reported. The difference is concerning cultural beliefs, values, and social class. The large-sized photograph and the eye-catching headlines leave the reader in an indecisive status. What is what? Conflict, or there is more to the facade of conflict that has been pointed out in the headlines. Contrary to the headlines, the picture shows some dialogue between two sides. At a glance, it is pretty obvious that something is amiss here, as the headlines and the photograph convey different messages. The main war is on equality with regard to power and culture, and not treason. Contrary to what one may expect, there is no exchange of fire between Move and the blockade. This is a clear show that Move is not an anarchist as stated. Linguistically, the terms escalates and anarchist group have been used to suggest tension and segregation, thereby indicating resentment, hostility, and displeasure. The article implies a connection with Philadelphia but maintains a distance from the anarchist group. Familiarity with the elite individuals in the state is evident, whereas details about Move are lacking, hence maintaining a distance between this group and the reader. Move is seen as a criminal gang, and the article has never supported this group in any way. Several allegations have been made and are thought to be linked with Move, but there is no single evidence of this. Photographs, typographic codes, and language are some of the elements that are used to analyze a newspaper. These elements can present a certain picture based on composition and appropriate structuring. However, it takes more than a mere glimpse to actually get the actual message. A thorough content analysis of any paper is essential so as to obtain the actual message being conveyed. If you want to find more works like this term paper on Philadelphia Escalated its conflict with an anarchist group newspaper article analysis, head over to ivypanda.com. It has a collection of free samples with thousands of submissions covering virtually all academic subjects. No registration required to access it.